This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Look at that. Quite a lovely animal. You can see I have got the tallest animal in the world, the giraffe. Look at that height from the ground to the top. It can go up to 5 to 6 meters. That is quite very big. So a very good afternoon and welcome to the beginning of the afternoon game drive. My name is Sydney. I am traveling with Senzo this afternoon and we are going to make sure that you enjoy the best experience this afternoon. For your questions and comments, you can follow us on Twitter, #SafariLive. You can also follow us on YouTube chat stream. My plan this afternoon is very much easy. Earlier on this morning, I was very lucky with the little chief Hosanna, and Hosanna was displaying some hunting activities. I want to see how the hunt is going. I am going back to Hosanna this afternoon. So now let's carry on and see if we can find where Hosanna is hiding for the day. So now let's go to the luckiest presenter at the moment. David in the Masai Mara has got the beautiful head of the elephants.
A very good afternoon and Jambo, hello everybody and everyone. From the Masai Mara, Kenya, we are specifically in the Mara Triangle, and as always, my name is David, and hiding behind the camera, I can't see who it is, but it looks like Big James. There's no way I can miss seeing Big James behind there. Good afternoon, James. How are you doing today? We still have a plan at one point? No. My apologies for that. Anyhow, welcome. There's something I've been working on with James the last 1 week, and I'm sure at one point it's going to bear fruit and work. Remember, this is a very interactive safari we are doing, and your questions, comments makes a huge difference for us because you keep us on our toes. So you can send your questions or any comments you may have, #SafariLive as usual. We are in Kenya here. You just came from Sydney all the way in South Africa, and we are specifically, as I said earlier, in the Mara Triangle. Elephants saying hello to all of you. Welcome to the show. Great afternoon. Wonderful temperatures, 24 degrees Celsius and 76 degrees Fahrenheit. It couldn't be better. I couldn't ask for more. And we have no reason not to get you some exciting animals this afternoon. Are you, James, playing with me today? Well, James still has a problem with me. And we have these two boys here. Is it 2-1? I'm not sure what they are up to. Let's find out. 1 minute. Hang on, sorry, look, go again for that question. We have some Ellies just running towards us. What was the question from Rosalind? My apologies. Rosalind, I guess your question is how do elephants trumpet? And if that's your question, if you listen carefully, they're just doing exactly that. Those elephants you see there, Rosalind, they first came running towards us. I do not know what they saw. I do not know what they think we are. We were about, 200 meters away from them. And then they realized we are fine people. And they'll always trumpet using the mouth. And sometimes they rumble in their tummies. And you might hear them brrr, like similar to rumbling. So there's one here that is just crazy, high, well, not sure what exactly she wants, but it's one female. And always what you do, the moment they understand what you're doing, you have no issues with them, they tend to relax. Relax, girls, we are all good, you are all fine. And I think in this small herd here, this is the matriarch. I might be a bit soft now, and she is the leader. So there's something they might have misread, either in us or in the car, or they saw us too late, but you can tell now they are relaxed and they notice or they think we are good to go and we are fine with them. Hello, girl. What could be your problem? Why do you look nervous? Why do you look worried? We just stood here. We're just taking the pictures. Big James is just showing the wonderful people or viewers nothing but great photographs. Keep flapping. It's warm. 76 degrees Fahrenheit is a bit high, so you need to keep flapping to keep cool. And you see she has rounded all the elephants together because she is in charge. She is the leader here. And like, if you look carefully where she is about 1 meter ahead of everybody else. So telling the rest, stay behind, let me find out who these guys are, what's the situation here, and all is fine. The matriarchs have, very big responsibility. They're always in charge of the herd in terms of safety, security, so they usually have a lot on their shoulders to make sure everybody is fine in the herd. And the moment she'll pass a message to them, all good, start eating, start grazing, browsing, whatever we're doing, everything will be fine. But until she's sure, she still have to pass the message to everybody. Matriarch, all looks good. So again, as I said earlier, any questions you may have, any comments, please send them through #SafariLive. Such a great moment, I think, the observing of silence, and definitely they're still trying to digest who we are or what we are up to. Depending on the situation, you always, to me, I've found out in the bush, always stay or stand your ground. So long as you have not invaded the space of an animal, you have not offended the animal, just stay on your ground. He or she comes so close and we just stop. At times, of course, is big debate. You try to run away or start the car and take off. That way, you might encourage the would-be animal to come chasing you because it will translate that to you being a coward. It's a lot of grass you're picking and putting it on your head, either to cool yourself or just to feel good. And you see now they're all turning around, they're going to graze, they are comfortable with us. And having said that, there is another gentleman all the way in Juma in South Africa who would like to say hello to all of you.
Hello to all of you. I hope you are all very well. We're sitting here at an extensive waterhole known as Treehouse Puddle. There it is. My name is James Henry, and on camera, after a very long hiatus together, I have Willem Dorenbraak with us. That is his extra long thumb. I'm not sure if you remember how extra long his thumb was. It is as impressive as his lamb chops. Good. Nice to have you with us today. Our plan is not to die from heat exhaustion. That's the first thing that we're going to try and do today. I think it's about 34 degrees Celsius or so. There's the sun. That's what's making it hot, of course. And that puts us around about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not actually that hot. It's not too bad. 89 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. Our plan is to see if we can see Tundi, the 12-year-old queen of Juma. We'll see if we can find... Oh, it's 92 degrees, actually. We'll see if we can find some of her tracks, and perhaps she's come down to the water. Perhaps there'll be some elephants having a drink. Who knows? At the moment, things are very hot and very silent and very still. But for a little northwest breeze, indicating that we do not have a cold front on the way here. As the others, I'm sure, have told you, please talk to us using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Otherwise, you can use the hashtag... No, you can't. You've just done that. Hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Otherwise, you can use the chat stream on YouTube. I forgot how you could talk to us for a second. I've only been doing this for 3 years. A lot of you are saying hello to Willem. Willem is saying hello to you in his loud and boisterous fashion. It's very nice to have Willem back, playing his interesting selection of music in his room of an evening, lighting the goblet of fire every evening, which is a goblet of fire made from acetone while we eat. It's always nice to have the slight whiff of nail varnish remover in your nose as you eat your steak. That's always quite nice. Oh, and apparently VM almost set Louise's table on fire last night with his goblet of fire. Anyway, it's very nice to have him back. There are our first heartbeats of the day. There are times when I would drive straight past those things and just sort of put them down to another permanent member of the fauna here. But these days, you know, with luck being the way it has been, I'm going to stop for just about everything, I think. So there are some impalas. And although the water of Treehouse Puddle looked disgusting, and you would never have drunk it unless you were in a serious state of desperation, the impala can, of course, drink it. And they will drink it. And they must drink probably twice a day at this time of the year. Now, the other thing that VM does, of course, is decide when he's had enough of a sighting like this and bring the camera back towards the presenter and not tell him or her that he's come back. I am wise to his tricks, and so we're going to carry on. If I wanted to look at the impala further, I would have to say, VM, you have to put the camera on the impala, and he would put it back for about a half minute, and then you would find it staring at the back of your head again very shortly after that. VM likes to film leopards, and sometimes leopards also. What else, VM? Lions, yes. If they're moving, though, yes. Not giraffe or impala for too long. All right, Sidders is going off towards another waterhole, Biffleshoek waterhole, and he's going to see if he can find Hoshana over there.
Oh, look at that very beautiful tree, very green in color. It's one of the Vachelias. Now, the other trees are trying to bring back the flowers in order to get back the leaves and everything, but this one is green already. And I think this one is dominating the green because it's very tall, and animals such as giraffe must be battling in order to reach those leaves. It's not very close to the ground where other animals can be able to eat. So these kind of trees can be very much clever, because when they're starting to grow back the leaves, they grow back the leaves with a high amount of tannin. Tannin is a poison these trees are using in order to protect themselves against their predators. In order to regulate the browsing activities, these trees, they bring the high volume of tannin. So when the animal comes here, when the leaves are coming back, you will see when they are eating, they cannot spend much time feeding by the same tree. If they do that, they are going to have problems, because a lot of these animals are experiencing the dry season. Their body functioning is not strong as during the summer season. So it means now they have got a huge responsibility of dealing with the tannin. And some of these animals, they experience something which is called bloat, because when the trees are starting to bring back the leaves, the animals get too excited and even eat more than expected. And they experience constipation. I'm not even seeing the insects coming there. So animals don't like the trees which are over 5% level of tannin, because those trees, to them, they don't taste nice. But anything lower than that, they get excited, come and feed. So I will be heading up now to the Buffelshoek Dam, where I'm hoping to begin my trekking activities from. Greenland. This is quite a very green tree. I think it's a suitable question for Greenland. The animals don't get sick because as soon as these trees start to get bitter, the leaves, they avoid it. So they don't get forced to feed until they're right. Just when the trees is starting to give off too much of tannin, animals will sense it and avoid that. And that is how the animals and tree interact with each other. So now, let's go back to David in the Mara and see. Maybe he's still by the elephants, or maybe he's got something new at the moment.
Well, we are changing now from the elephants, and we want to show you some different animals, some tall guys. I haven't seen giraffes for the last couple of days, and I think I can see some coming up not very far from where we are. And they're tall as Big James in terms of height. So my plan, or what I've been trying to request James to do, is one of the days to come out of the car and he stands next to me and we find out who is taller. But we'll have a very good comparison at the moment of giraffes. And definitely these will be a lot taller than him. Just tell me if I give you that one there that is fitting, whether that's a good angle for you, because we normally see giraffes eating while standing, but that one has its legs apart. Let's just put them together. We've got 4 species of giraffes in Africa, and this particular one here is the Maasai giraffe. And mainly giraffes are browsers, so ideally what you see her eating there are some kind of plants, not grass, as much as, sorry, there was a cow just passing there, I don't know how that, and once in a while you might see them tasting something like grass, but in general giraffes are browsers, so that green bush is what she is enjoying. Always going in big herds, anything from 5, sometimes up to 50. The largest herd of giraffes I've seen, about 50. And you can tell when I talk about tall animals, looking at the outline of the trees, they are quite tall, matching those tall trees in the background there. Very majestic when they walk. We have always said when giraffes walk, let's see, we can see the one behind that one walking. They'll always move 2 legs of one side at the same time, that we call ambling. That's a very special way giraffes will walk. So we've got 2 that are walking majestically there. Let's see whether they come towards us. That's very good. Keep walking. And then if you look carefully, it's like they move 2 legs of one side at the same time. The tallest animals we got around here are giraffes, which will comfortably reach the sausage trees if they do want to eat them. But the only competitor to giraffes, team, I would say elephants. We have seen elephants, especially the bulls, standing on their hind legs and raising their front legs to give them a dead height, and using their trunk they can reach the sausages or any high, kind of vegetation they may want to reach. So I would say the only animals that would compete with giraffes in terms of height to reach food will be the elephants, and more so the bulls than the females. I do not know, or I would not be able to explain why females don't do it, but I would say the bulls tend to rise up and reach very high food, and as you said, or you asked, the sausage trees. And when they don't reach the sausage trees, as they would do with the amarula fruits, sometimes I've seen them just knocking the tree and the fruits coming down. And unlike the amarulas that you get, south side of Africa, the sausage tree, it's very difficult to come down. They really have to bring it down, and that's why they either have to use the trunk to bring it down, and the only nutrition value I would say the sausage trees will have to the animals here will only help in digestion. They got lots of fiber, the sausage trees. So definitely that bush have something very special. And they're not letting go, and they may keep eating it for a long time until they feel satisfied. And from the mammals here, we'll go to some primates all the way in South Africa, in Joma.
There is one primate of a group of primates sitting eating some jackalberry fruits. There you can see them hanging there. little orbs of green and gold. They are a great delight for the monkeys and baboons. Not so much for the human beings, because they simply are not ripe enough for us yet. They taste extremely mouth-desiccating at the moment. But for the monkeys, they're used to that sort of thing. They're not used to enormous commercially available cling peaches, nectarines and bananas, and so they will put up with the bitter taste of some unripe jackalberries, especially if it means that the baboons haven't got to them first. Now we've come all the way down towards the south of the reserve, towards twin dams, also now twin puddles. And, well, there's only one puddle at the moment, and that's over there. And unfortunately, well, there doesn't seem to be a great deal there either, other than the monkeys. What we're going to do is drive around, get into the riverbed and drive up the line of the riverbed. Because on a hot day like today, of course, well, you don't expect a huge amount to be knocking about in the full sun. Everything is drying out, and the big question on everyone's mind is the water going to last until the rains? Look at these birds. Oh, don't be silly. Stay still. There's some water thickneys, everybody, which we don't often see in the day. We've got a shot there. See that one? Sally, jackalberries don't taste very good until they are very ripe, and then they taste delicious. They taste sort of sweet, honeyish flavoured. They're a bit flowery, but they are nice. At the moment they're not ripe though. That is the water thickney. It is called the water thickney as opposed to the spotted thickney because it lives by the water. There is his lover, or her lover. And why they're called thick knees, I couldn't tell you. They don't have particularly thick knees, as far as I can tell. They used to be called dukops, which meant thick head. They do have a slightly thicker head, I suppose, than some other coursing birds, like the plovers. They look quite angry, don't they? Maybe they've just had a little spat. And you'll always find them, of course, living around water. Isn't that nice? Yeah, and the bird probably does have a bit of anxiety. It's a water thickney and its water's about to run out. So it probably is a little anxious. Ooh, VMP, I'm going to test you. There is another bird way at the other side of this vast expanse of moisture. You see it there? There, yes. Well done. 2 of them. Those I believe to be wood sandpipers. They're, of course, migratory. We have seen them before this season. Now, there's one wood sandpiper on the left, and the other is a 3-banded plover on the right. The 3-banded plover is not migratory. It lives here permanently. I haven't seen one at this particular puddle for too long, or for quite some time. Very nice, very peaceful. Quite like to be paddling in the shallows myself right now, I think. Okay, let's keep going. We'll just get into the riverbed now where it will be cooler, and I think we'll be more likely to find some decent tracks. In the meantime, Sidders is still out looking for Hosanna in the far northeast.
I have not yet picked up the fresh tracks of Hosanna in the area, I am checking all these main roads here to see if he trespassed to the private properties or still in our side. But I'm sure he's resting at the moment. But, or maybe he has been successful shortly after I left this morning. It will be very great if I find Hosanna. Specifically, if I find him before taking down something. I really want to see Hosanna taking down something today, because this morning I was very convinced he was stalking some of the animals. There was a group of nyalas there, and he also missed a small daycare. The sun is very much hot, and the cats, when the weather is like this, they prefer to rest. So I'm going to have to look everywhere. I must have to be very careful, otherwise I'm going to easily pass him. So now let's see, David has got one of the lovely eagles now by the Mara.
I got a raptor, and interestingly, on the same tree here that you call the Boskia tree, I saw my favorite bird, the lilac-breasted roller, earlier in the morning. But now it has been patronized by a different bird. This is a raptor, and this is the long-crested eagle. Long-crested eagle. And as the name suggests, you can see the crest, how it pops up from the head. And characteristic of all birds, the hooked beak. And in general, these eagles, you'll always see them on their own. Very unusual to see them in twos. They rarely pair. And what they'll be feeding on, or from where she is, could be looking for rats or mice. Any small reptiles like skinks, lizards, geckos, gammas. And got such a wonderful vantage point to look like 360. It can keep turning, looking down to see if she'll be lucky to get any food. And definitely there James is showing you the beauty of the wilderness of the Masai Mara. Angie, I can't agree with you, Father. It's a fantastic eagle, and they're rarely seen. What happens, NG, these eagles, the moment you stop and you frame them up, they'll always fly away. Or they don't even allow you to get so close to them. So, NG, you, me, and all the other viewers would count ourselves lucky this afternoon. And I think maybe she had me. She just flopped there, maybe, to nod affirmative, yes, I'm here. And she keeps looking at us, turns her head. And you can see how the wind is blowing her crest. But also, she blends in very well there. Linda, I'm not sure your comment was you haven't seen a long-crested eagle on the show before. And if that's your comment, I would agree with you. And I don't remember personally, I don't remember when I saw the long-crested eagle last. We have always seen them out on drives, but the moment, again, as I said, we try to get pretty close, they'll either take off or we try and sneak on them very quietly. And the moment we got the barrel of the camera, or James will do what he does best, it flies away. So Linda, I think this is a great moment for you, me, and all of us, and I'm sure James is equally excited to see a long-crested eagle. When is the last time, James, you saw a long-crested eagle? Could you remember? James says he doesn't remember the last time he saw a long-crested eagle. So this is very lucky for us. And interesting, if you see them in flight, on the wings, they got like white wings or windows on their wings, while in flight, they look very different. There's a small little peck of white on the under coverts there on the feathers, but in flight, it's very different. I'm just going to flip through my book as James keeps showing you that one. Hopefully she doesn't fly away, and I might be able to explain what I'm talking about in under a few seconds. And I'm looking at the long-crested eagle and 32, 35, 44. Okay. So we want to see whether they have a picture of her in flight. And that should be very good for her to see what I'm talking about. Maybe not this page. Long-crested eagle, that's number 1. Let me look one more time. Don't go away, James. Keep there. Thank you very, very much. Okay, 35 or 32. Let me see, 35 or 32. Okay, I think I've got the right page now. So, not exactly what I'm looking for. So number 14, I think this is what exactly I'm looking for. James, I'm sure you're kind enough. If you come here, and my book will be able to show what I was talking for, or what I'm talking about. So number 14, right there. Okay, very good. Keep coming. That's the very bottom one there, James. That's the number 14 I'm talking about. So if you look carefully at number 14, which is that one there, you can see the white windows I'm talking about, there and there. So there are times when we have to identify these eagles in flight, and you get viewers who are interested and they'll ask you, David, what eagle is that? So rather tricky, but not many of them will have these particular characteristics of having white windows and that kind of tail at the back there. So that is the long-crested eagle. If you see it in flight, that's the way we are able to identify it. All right, hopefully she is going to get some rats or some mice for dinner. Base 0, that's very good. I'm sure your birds list will get better now. And please, for the Mara list, add this particular one here, the long-crested eagle. And we just said before, they're always very difficult to spot. Just looking the snooker behind me, and every time you get the frame or you get them on the shot, they'll always take off and go away. All right. Very good. It's very interesting when you see most eagles, you'll see them always perched up on top of trees. But there's another gentleman who also likes to stay on trees. Not sure like eagles or like what.
Now, I have tried to eat these things in front of you before, but we do have a guest on the back of our vehicle, Kenny, all the way from North Carolina, sitting on the back of the car today. He is, of course, a SafariLive fan and Dive Live contributor, and that is why he is sitting on the back of the car with VM. And I thought we'd give him some jackalberry trees, so that's what I've come up here to do. While we were off air, I found a couple, and I fed him some, and he's now lying down next to the car, basically retching and shouting about why it is that we brought him out here so we could poison him. And that is simply because they are not ripe yet. And as I tried some from the other tree not far from here a little while back, they are extremely kind of desiccating in the mouth. They do have a sweetish taste. If you just touch them to your teeth, there's a real sweetness there, but then it sucks every little bit of moisture out of your mouth so that it's really just not worth eating. And how a monkey manages to eat these things without feeling ill, I don't really know. And I suspect that's why there are so many left on the tree. That is because, of course, they are not ripe, and I don't think that the tree is perhaps ready to let go of them just yet. They can be delicious, but I suspect, as I said to Kenny, that it's when they're overripe, they become quite flowery, but their sweetness and that horrible desiccating flavour goes away. All right, so that is the jackalberry tree, that is the fruits, and that is why I'm up here. It is a wonderful tree to climb. I've seen any mammal life other than the monkey. So now I shall attempt an elegant dismount. Not sure how elegant it's going to be. but gravity will help me with the rest. Not so, Viam. There we go. We're almost there already. Can you believe it? I think this is the difficult bit. Not too bad. Still relatively elegant. Viam, you don't sound that impressed with me. It looks like Hosanna, does it? That's definitely not a compliment. There we are. Okay, on we go. We also did that segment, of course, because it was in the shade and it meant that we could stay cool while we did it. Let me plug myself back in and continue. Not very nice. Well, gremlins, the short answer to that is no. One is a tree, which comes from an entirely different kingdom from the one being a jackal. However, I remember once having a conversation with a noted academic, and I was trying to convince him that he should convince a board that they should give me a scholarship to go and study at Cambridge. Which I failed to do. And I said to him, you know, I just find it so fascinating that a chimpanzee is 99.6% related to a human being. I mean, they're that close to each other. And he said, yes. And he was an American who lives in South Africa. You may even be able to work out who he was. He said, but that's not very remarkable when you consider a banana is 50% the same as a human being. And so, I guess in a manner of speaking, something like a jackalberry might be considered related to a jackal. But one wouldn't normally place them together. It is unlikely they will start breeding with each other or anything like that. There goes a nyala. The reason they're called jackalberries is because jackals actually eat them. The side-striped jackal specifically is rather more omnivorous than its carnivorous cousin, the black-backed jackal. And Liam, what did you see? A nest. Ah, you mean that hole? Well, let us observe it and see if something comes out, shall we? And so that's why it's called a jackalberry. Liam has spotted what looks like a nest. I think Liam is entirely correct that it is a nest. And I wonder... it's definitely been dug out there. I'm going to go with barbet. Barbets would probably make a tree hole roughly that size. So I'm going to say that I think that's a barbet. Crested barbet. I might be entirely wrong. The barbets are able to dig their own holes in trees, like the woodpeckers. But they don't peck like the woodpeckers. I think they probably just chisel it out or kind of grind it out. No, not grind it out, carve it out, if you like. Very interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on that as we go. And apparently Jamie saw one digging in a tree once, and they do soften the thing up with their beaks. Very good. Well, we shall keep an eye on that over the breeding season. Tracks of some form of predator coming down this way. I didn't think they were tundis though, I think they were hyenas. It's difficult to tell in the soft sand. Alrighty. No, not much going on here. Let's go back across to Sidder's. I'm not sure if he's managed to find anything on his end.
I am still looking for the tracks here where I am right at the same spot I left Hosanna earlier this morning. And here is quite very dry. I am not too sure if he's hiding in between these bushes, but I'm still checking and confirming the road if he crossed back to the other side. He must be somewhere in here. Sally, that is quite a very, very interesting question. Yes, the animals, they do have some of the medicinal plants they are using in order to get rid of the parasites. And one of the plants these animals are using themselves is the grass. Animals, when experiencing the endoparasite or the internal parasites, tapeworms, they come and eat the grass in order to wash away the tapeworms. After eating the grass, you must check in their droppings. All you're going to see there is going to be just the tapeworms. But if you want to assist the animals, you can also use the trees such as the Combreta mole. Combreta mole is called the velvet bush willow. If you take the leaves of the velvet bush willow, you squash it and mix it with water, you will see soon as you mix it with water, water's gonna turn green. When that water is green, give that water to animals to drink. And following morning, check where the animals are sleeping. You will see a lot of tapeworms removed in their droppings. And that plant is also not harmful to the human beings because it's the plant that I grew up using in order to treat the tapeworm problems. So I am going to have to now try and check the other side of the dry riverbed, as that is where I left him. I don't have a good visual of the right spot where I left Hosanna this morning. So I want to quickly go there and see if I can pick up the tracks and take it from previous. So now I will be here searching the dry riverbed, but while I'm checking here, let's see David, who is somewhere around the active river, not the dry river like I've got.
Good luck, Sydney. I know you're always a very successful boy, and we have now come to different habitat. We have come to what we call the Mara River and find out what could be happening by the water. The animals will have different reasons to be at different places. And we got some reptiles now that we are dealing with. And if you look carefully, we've got two of them, one in the water and the other one out of the water. Now, reptiles are cold-blooded animals, we all know, but it's difficult to understand why one should be cooling itself while the other one is sunning itself. So that particular one there needs to bring the temperatures down, or needs to maintain them at maybe much lower than the outside world. I'm not sure she's having a nap there, but that other one out there is definitely out on the beach or just sunning herself. And look at how massive these reptiles are. You'd wonder how I've always thought, I mean, when the crocs are out here and they nap or they end up dreaming, what would they be dreaming of? This is part of the Mara River that's very famous when it comes to migration. We'll get thousands of wildebeest and zebras crossing this river. Yeah, Louis the Final Control thinks they dream about croissants, if I got that right. And that is interesting. If they dream about croissants, I don't know. I would say they dream about cupcakes. Because cupcakes, there could be a challenge of trying to remove the wrapper, maybe. And maybe they also dream of, wildebeest coming to cross and getting them, breaking their legs, and without using so much energy, they're able just to jump on them and bring them down. Some of the animals, I think, in the whole world that have very, very strong jaws, especially the Nile crocodile, which is what we have here. And I'm trying to imagine the Nile crocodile. The naming of these crocs is the Mara River originates from some parts in the Rift Valley in Kenya, and it drains in a lake called Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria is a lake that is shared by Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And Lake Victoria is the source of the Nile. So not sure that's why they call them the Nile crocodiles, but we got different crocodiles, and these particular ones here, we call them the Nile crocodiles. And what I'm trying to say, if you drop or you get a dye here and a drop of water, give it a color, say like red, and then it makes its way, it's going to leave here where we are now, all the way to Lake Victoria. Then Lake Victoria, that's the source of the Nile, it will go all the way to Egypt. So the water that we are watching at the moment on our left here, it goes all the way to the Mediterranean Sea. So you can see how in the world we are connected, as much as we are like thousands of miles from each other. So there's some hippos from a distance. I don't know how far you think those hippos are to the left there, James. But if you think they're too far, just let me know. Way to the left, at the bend of the river there, we got some hippos there, but James thinks it's quite a distance from where we are. But I know we'll be getting some because we want to play along the river today. And Jeanne Lou, she asked what goes down the Mara River. Very good. And Jeanne, I'll tell you, unfortunately, I'm not saying unfortunately, fortunately not. The Mara River is pretty long. I'm talking about 200 plus miles long from its source to where it drains in Lake Victoria. And it's full of dangerous animals. What we're just watching now are crocs, which have been known to attack people. The river is also infested by hippos, so I would say no boats have ever been tried or canoes on the Mara River. It's pretty dangerous to do that. And also on the banks of the river, many times we have seen elephants, feeding by the river banks. At times we have seen buffaloes, and also we have seen lions. Oops, is that a yawn, or are you opening your mouth for us to see your teeth? Look at that. So, NGN, no, not any canoeing or any water activities are done on the Mara River. Is that a second yawn, or do you want to open your mouth for us? I would imagine if, NGN, you're on a boat on this river and you stall midstream, you'll be in a lot of trouble because I wouldn't know what you do. Every side you look, it could be, full of danger. And how cool is that? And Lou in the final control is saying, I don't know whether she has seen that before or the last time she saw that. With the crocodile opening its mouth, you can see even the palate, I guess. There have always been a big debate, why will crocodiles open their mouth? And of course, is to cool off. Looking at them, these huge reptiles, they're huge and big. Alex, I would say crocodiles are not as fast. And my guess, though I'm not very 100% sure, I would give them 10 to 15 miles an hour. They are a bit slow and sluggish out of the water. So my guess would be 10, 15 miles an hour. I may be able to confirm that for you later, but they're not as efficient out of water. In water, Alex, don't take any chances with these reptiles. They'd easily kill anybody. You see how they turn around when they see wildebeest trying to cross, or the zebras. and also underwater, they're pretty fast. They move very, very quickly because they can float, they can swim, just like the lizards. But on land, they're rather slow and not as fast. So I was talking earlier of the debate of, why crocodiles will open their mouth, and they said it's because they need to cool off. And the debate has been, if they need to cool off and it's too hot or too warm for them, why don't they get in the water like the one we see in the water? And some people, have always said they're just basking, not actually cooling off. And if you look carefully inside the mouth of that guy, as much as you can also see the teeth, crocodiles do not have tongues, and they got a huge muscle like a tongue that is glued to the lower jaw. So when crocodiles feed, they do not chew their food. As much as you can see teeth from here, they tend to cut meat or whatever food they have, be it fish, into small pieces, and then they swallow it. So my thinking is they'll stay out of the water, warm up, and hit their scales to get enough solar energy, which they may use later at night to help break down the food as enzymes in their tummies. Hippos are coming up. These hippos have not been here since you've been here, so they've been laying under the water there, and they thought we should just pop up a little bit and say good afternoon. As much as you're talking about the crocodiles, we are also here. One of the major differences between crocodiles and alligators, the teeth that we see on that croc there, if she shuts her mouth, we'll still be able to see 1, 2, 3, 4 teeth or so outside the mouth. But an alligator, once they shut their mouth, you will not be able to see even a single tooth. Carefully looking at the snout of this croc here that is looking at us, it's rather pointed, while alligators got rounded snouts. Jesse, crocodiles in general do not depend on the migration or the wildebeest when they are crossing the water. The Mara River, for example, has lots of different types of fishes. I'm talking about catfish, mudfish, grammies, tilapia. We got lots of fish, or lots of aquatic invertebrates in the water. So they do not entirely depend on the migration. You'd imagine the migration will come to the Mara once in a year. What would happen the next few days? Oops. So that hippo just poked that croc, and I'm sure that croc must have been napping, and it has scared her so much, and she just disappeared. So yeah, they'll feed on fish, and they do not need so much to live on or to feed on. A small amount of food, a croc would comfortably go for 3 months without eating. I was talking about crocodiles being very good swimmers, and you can see her. She's just swimming and going away from the hippos. Those hippos were so close. I don't know whether you just heard her. That was another group of hippos from a distance. They live very close to each other, but the other day, a friend of mine witnessed a wildebeest that was crossing the river, and the crocodile pounced on it, caught it, and just before it killed it, the hippos went and intimidated the croc, and that wildebeest survived. That was very interesting, as much as you see them living close to each other as good friends. Hippo, just come up and have a breath. We usually think 3 to 5 minutes. They'll stay under the water before they come up to get some oxygen and expire a bit of carbon dioxide. Sorry, Lou, go again. Tiva, the migration is still on, and the Masai Mara Game Reserve and more so the Mara Triangle where we are, it's huge. So it depends on where we are, and as I said earlier today, I might be spending most of my afternoon along the river, and I might chance to see if you're lucky to see any wildebeest crossing the river or any zebra. So the migration is still on, and we think the wildebeest and the zebras, the bigger herds of them, will stay here until maybe late October. They came in very late, so we'll not be surprised if they stay in through late October or early November. So she just shut her mouth now, meaning she has cooled off. If you could be lucky, James, if you go back to that croc, just go to the mouth and as close as you can, see whether we might see what people have spoken of when they say crocodile tears. So looking at that reptile there, you can see it's full of scales, and that is not type of skin to perspire or to breathe to bring down body temperatures. But once in a while, when it gets very hot, they say right below the eyes, they got two sweat glands, and that's where they would perspire from, and they lose sweat to cool off. And because it's very concentrated, something like nitric acid, it builds up like from the eyes all the way down towards the mouth. And there have been this, saying, people have said you're shedding crocodile tears, and I think that's where it came from. So looking at a crocodile, you might see like tear marks all the way from the eyes, two black lines, either crooked or straight, streaming down. So actually not tears, but sweat coming down, and that's where the saying crocodile tears came from, fake tears, not actually true tears. Ideally, crocodiles will not be crying, but that's where they'd be able to sweat from and cool off. Fantastic. James, I'm sure you are searching something, and I don't know the last time you saw crocodiles when you were in the Mara.
Now, the last time I saw a crocodile, David, interestingly, was in Chitwa Dam, and it was acting like a Mara crocodile, of course, and it caught itself an impala that had been chased into the water by wild dogs. We had 2 sightings in, I think, a week of exactly the same thing. It was quite phenomenal. Did you hear about that, Viam? Yes. He doesn't look that impressed. Of course, he was in the Mara at the time and probably seen about 7 dozen or so antelope killed by crocodiles. Let's have a quick look at those birds trying to cross the road. They're trying to be inconspicuous about it. Now they know they've been spotted. You see that? They are, of course, the gorgeous Coqui Franklin. And they are gorgeous because they have a golden head. I believe that their head comes the closest to actual gold that any bird achieves. I think they're absolutely stunning. Matching heads and legs. The male in front, I can tell that from the spurs on his feet, or on his legs. The females have got spurs, but they're much shorter. Except that those females don't look like females at all. They're all 3 males, but the one in the front's definitely got longer spurs than the other 2. Let me just quickly go to me bird app. The female's head is completely different from the male's. Yes, definitely all males. Looked to me like the one in the front had much longer spurs on the back of his feet, but maybe I was just mistaken. Alrighty, now we did have word that Hukumuri had crossed onto Juma sometime during the morning, so that's now where we're headed. We didn't find any Tundi tracks, and I know that many of you would love to see Hukumuri. I'd love to see Hukumuri. Viam would love to see Hukumuri, and so maybe we will find Hukumuri if we are very lucky. Whether or not we will manage to find him, well, that remains to be seen. Especially in heat like this, I suspect any self-respecting leopard is fast asleep in some shade. But we might be lucky. Apparently he had his kills stolen by some lions. A lot of you wondering what the Franklins do with their spurs. Well, they fight with them. Same thing that a chicken does with its spurs. Cockfighting, which of course was the setting of two vicious male chickens against each other, was achieved with the use of spurs. And they've got these sort of long spurs, really, like an extra claw on the back of the foot there. There's a little raptor. Oh, are you going to land? You are going to land. Unfortunately, in that kind of light, it's going to be very difficult to identify you. What are you eating? A lizard? Oh, there was a lizard. I think that's a little shikra. I don't think it's a lizard buzzard. I think it's a shikra. Its eyes look to be dark. It's just had a little dump. Why not? And off he goes. Into the sun. Very nice. Looked like quite a delicious lizard he ate. Not sure what lizard tastes like, actually. Chicken, I'm pretty sure. So those spurs are used, of course, for fighting, much as they were in chickens, as I said. All right, Sydney, still searching, much like us. I would like to tell you how that's going.
I am right in the middle of the search now, looking for Hosanna in this area, and I am getting to where Hosanna was. I'm getting to that termite mound now. Maybe from that termite mound I might be lucky and see him. And around here I can see that there's quite a lot of green trees. Maybe he's hiding somewhere here. So I'm just in the middle of the two dry riverbeds. Not too sure if he's on this side where I am or on the other side now. So this is the area where I left him this morning. Kat, the rainy season here at Juma, it is by the summer season. Now we are just by the spring. But during the spring, we do sometimes receive rains. Like a few days ago, there was a little bit of showers. So, but the heavy rains, they are expected to be here during the summer season. End of October, December. So this is where I'm hoping to find Hosanna this afternoon. So this is the termite mound where he was lying when I left earlier this morning. He was lying right on top of this termite mound after he missed a decal. You can see there's a very big hole on that termite mound showing that the artifact has been here as well, looking for some diet. Other animals, they go and stay in there as if the hole is theirs. But these holes, mostly, they are dug by the artifact. Other ones, they just come and use it as a timeshare. They don't use it permanently. It's very much quiet here where I am, so now I'm just gonna carry on and see if I can find something. So now, while I'm checking Hosanna in this area, I am going now to David, who is having some zebras by the Mara.
Good luck. I'm sure you're going to see a spotted cat. We are seeing one male here, and he's showing us, no doubt, He is a male, and I'm not sure that is a female. He is trying to nudge into giving her ideas. Yeah, this morning Sydney spotted the Hosanna, the leopard, and hopefully he'll be lucky to see it again today. These are the cousins of our horses back home. We relate the zebras to the horses. Same family, the equidae. And these are the bachels, or the common, or the plains zebras. Still rather warm, and they may not be eating as it's hot. But they need to keep doing that. Being, non-ruminants, they just need to keep eating because they may not have a chance to redigest or rechew what they might have eaten earlier. Yes, that's the male I was talking about between those three there. And you can tell, no doubt, he is a boy. He's trying to show off, and he is still following the same female. And I don't think she is interested. Not sure how many males are trying to corner that girl there. To me, it doesn't look very fair to her. Yeah, there's something definitely going on here. And every time she moves, they tend to stop her. Yes, and Lou in the final control says she knows how she feels. Personally, I think it's not right. You do not have so many males, mobbing on that one female to take it to the direction she is not interested into. And anytime any animal female that I've seen, so long as it's not in estrus, they tend not to be interested into mating, and they just keep moving and going away. Well, we're trying to turn around and find out. Yeah, that one stays behind there. And this is something I'd really want to follow and know what will happen in the next few minutes. As they keep moving on. This one is staying behind, not interested in the party of the rest, on trying to push that one young girl amongst the males. So let me move forward a little bit and turn around, because I really want to follow those zebras and find out whether that girl will be lucky to be away from all those males there. I'm going to turn around here. It's something we see in most herbivores, and even in the elephants, in buffaloes, and even in rhinos. So long as the female is not in estrus, unlike, and she is not interested, she will not give in. And the male will always tend to force them, come on, Mila, move. The male will always try and intimidate them into mating, and the girl will always keep going away. So most herbivores, most big animals behave that way. Where I don't see that happening is with the cats, lions and leopards. The moment the females are in estrus, they'll always mate comfortably without any issues. Let's find out what these zebras want to do, and whether the girl now is at peace or she's still being harassed by the males that were here. So they are all now moving. As you can just see them crossing the road. I'll just allow them to cross the road. We'll always have respect for the animals. Is that too bright for you, James, you think? Okay, let me give you a different angle. So we're just going to allow them to cross the road. Gary, zebras are very fast. There's another group to our left there, and I'm just going to confirm that to you in a minute. But I think zebras can do comfortably 40 miles an hour. 40 miles an hour, and they're very fast. And as I said earlier, being related to horses, and we all know how fast horses are. It's going to be checking that as you enjoy that beautiful sighting of the zebras with water behind them. How beautiful sighting that is, eh? I wonder why they're not drinking where they are. So this particular zebra, as I said before, is the common or the Barchels, and the other type of zebra that we have is called a gravy zebra, and I'm talking about Kenya. Yes, I was correct, Gary. Zebras will comfortably do 40 miles an hour, which translates to 65 kilometers per hour. Gary, I do not know where you come from, but ideally in Africa and more so in Kenya, we use the metric system. So if I would have known, I would have said 65 kilometers, but I think my answer was right. In terms of miles, they do 40 miles per hour. They're very fast animals, very, very fast. Pretty close to tigers, I would say. Pretty close to tigers. The push and shove still continues here. True monkey, yes, they can be domesticated, just, like the horses. But the challenge is, zebras got very soft backs. And it's very difficult, for example, to either ride on them or to have them, say, pull luggage like donkeys. You have seen donkeys, like in the villages we come from, we use donkey carts. And when the women, unfortunately, go looking for firewoods, and they'll have it on their backs, on their head. The men, we are a bit selfish. Of course, not me. We'll always either use wheelbarrows or use carts that are, towed by donkeys. But what I'm saying is zebras got very soft backs, and it's very difficult to use them or to domesticate them. The other type, the other species of zebra that we find in Kenya, and I'm talking about the northern part of Kenya, is called the gravy zebra. That has slightly bit stronger back. And what we have seen some experts do, I'm not sure to call them experts or not, they have crossbred that particular zebra with horses. Just like, people have crossbred horses and donkeys, and they have gotten mules, and the progeny normally stops there. So the crossbreed they'll always do between the gravy zebra and the horses. They call that hybrid the zebroid. So the zebroid is much stronger than the ordinary zebra, and people have been able to ride on them. So you go to that area, the northern part of Kenya, you'll see people being able to ride on them. But the ordinary zebras that we see here, it's rather difficult for people to ride on them. Well done. Zebras, wildebeests have always been known to move together, and especially this time around for the migration. And you have always thought during the day, the wildebeest, take care of the zebra. Scratch my back, I scratch yours. You can hear those buffaloes there making noise. I do not know what they have seen. And we call them cocky francolins. So the cocky francolins, they must have seen something. Or when they get, skittish. Or when they see, for example, jackals. Jackals have been known to eat their eggs. They become irritated. They go like that to just get them away. How wildebeest? The river is not very far from where we are. We'd want you to go and cross the river and maybe be lucky to see one of the crocodiles getting one of you down. So the situation now seems to have calmed down. But if you look carefully, there's only one zebra there that is feeding. The rest are not. And I think they're still wondering what to do with that one girl that they've been pushing around. And I think the push on shovel again is just about to start. Look at that. Either she is too young, not interested. Jonathan, how are you? And always a pleasure to hear your name. And how many species of zebras we got? In Kenya, we got two. We got what you have on your screen now that we'll either call the common zebra, as I said earlier, or the Barchel zebra, or sometimes what we call the plains zebra. If you go further north of the country, that's the northern part of Kenya, or in the northern hemisphere, or the north of the equator, we got the other type we've been talking about, that's called the gravy zebra. So if you go further south, we have what you call the grand zebra, but also we have another species that is called the mountain zebra. And I think there's another subspecies of the mountain zebra. So I would say three types of zebras. The common, what we have now, the gravy, and then south you'll see the mountain zebra that also have a subspecies of zebra. All right, so we could maybe having three species of zebras. Okay, time to move on. And looking at zebras again, we have seen a particular animal that we call okapi, Jonathan. And okapi is like half giraffe, half zebra that you'll see in a country called DRC Congo. Very good. During the migration, we'll always see many vultures following the lions after they make kills. And I think James could be having something equivalent to that.
We could be having something similar. We are having something similar. In fact, we're having something very similar indeed. This is a white-backed vulture. Many of you who know this white-backed vulture, and we're just waiting for its chick to stand up. It was standing up when we got here. You can see that little chick is, well, getting bigger. For those of you who've seen him or her before, there is, of course, no way of telling whether that's a him or her. I just have forgotten all my vulture information about when they fledge, etc., etc. I'll quickly bring it up for you. Right. General habits, foraging and food, we know that. 10 pairs, loose colonies. Monogamous, they are monogamous, of course, we knew that. VM says, of course, that they nested in this nest last year. I didn't remember that. Most of the nest built by the males. And here we go, development. 3 days to hatch. What? 3 days to hatch? Egg takes 3 days to hatch. Oh no, okay, right. Oh, sorry. So incubation is 56 days. Incubation is always 2 months. But it takes the egg, it takes the baby 3 days to get out of the egg once it's decided that it wants to get out. Okay, I understand now. Nestlings or the adults eat the shell. 3 weeks, the second dense dark brown down appears. At 5 weeks, feather quills along the main dorsal and wing tracts. At 9 to 10 weeks, upper parts fully feathered. Now, I don't think we're quite there yet. I think we're somewhere around 5 to 8 weeks. The nestling period is 108 to 140 days. So that's about 4 months or so. Tightly brooded by both male and female. Oof, absolutely no idea, I'm afraid. I couldn't begin to tell you how long the egg is inside the female before she lays it after fertilization. So, I mean, obviously fertilization happens internally, and then the egg must form. So the fertilization will take place, and then the shell will presumably form around the embryo before she then deposits it. But I couldn't begin to tell you how long that process takes. It's a good question. I'm afraid I have no idea. Rosalind, the white-backed vulture's wingspan is... Are you ready for it? Here it comes, here it comes. 2.2 meters. Now that is about... that must be about 7 feet. Yeah, 7 feet. So it's quite impressive, really. They're pretty large. I mean, they weigh around 5 kilos, which is about 10 pounds. Just over 10 pounds, actually. So they need quite long wings to keep them up, soaring on the thermals. My throat is still raspy from that vile jackalberry fruit. Anna-Marie, you have been wondering how the vulture chick is. Well, there you are. He or she is absolutely fine. We should probably give him a name, hey? You can pick a name, everybody. The first three in, like we did with Scoobert. The first three names in. I'm not going to pick one this time because I'm in a sulk about the fact that my name for Scoobert was rejected. So the first three names in, and then we'll have a poll. The first three names in. Come on. Here we go, Louise. Louise's names are coming in. VM, do you have a name? You can be one of them. Stella. Isabella. Do you think it's a female, do you? Yeah, why not indeed? Isabella for VM. Peter, Fred and Fleer. Okay, I'm going to reject Fleer out of hand. Is that the same spelling as our camera? Oh, that's quite nice. Okay, well, how do you spell it then? F-L-E-R. U-R. No? Oh, Fleur. F-L-E-U-R. I quite like that one. Peter, Fred. I think let's have Peter or Fred, shall we? Let's pick Peter or Fred, and then let's have Fleur, and let's have Isabella. I quite like that. VM, of course, just returned from the Mara, so he needs a bit of naming action. All right, so that's going to be the three choices, everybody. Isabella, Flair, or Fred. Isabella, Flair, or Fred. Kenny, what are you going to choose? Christine. Kenny has very wisely said that he's going to choose Christine, of course, because that's his wife's name. All right, Vim, let's press on. He's a very wise man. I think I could learn quite a lot from Kenny. Yes. He says 30 years will do that for you. All right, so you can all vote on those names. We're going to go up and see if we can't find some more sign of Hukumuri. Some more sign, some sign. We didn't found anything. The poll is out now, everyone. You just go to #SafariLive, do you, Louise? And there you'll find it. Yes, so all you do is go across to #SafariLive and you'll find the poll for the vulture's name. Jonathan, I do have a favourite bird species, and it's not very exotic. It's the Cape Robin. There you are. Cape Robin, followed relatively closely by the Currican thrush, both of which were songbirds that helped me through my times in Johannesburg and reminded me that the world was wild outside of where I lived. And that's why they're my favourites. We get the Currican thrush here, we don't get the Cape Robin over here. Both wonderful singing birds. Oh, we did, that's right. I forgot about that. I forgot that I'd already named that chick Veronica. Okay. Well, we're going to have another double-barreled name like we had for Scoobert. Okay. I did call him Veronica, or her, Veronica the vulture. I remember doing that now, and I remember saying, we'll never know if it's male or female, so it doesn't really matter. Veronica. I quite like that, actually. Okay, so we'll have to have a combo. Apparently Fleer is leading at the moment on the poll. Gosh, I think I've taken one too many game drives. I can't believe I've forgot that entirely. Something was ringing in the back of my head, but I failed to discern what it was. Lot of wind suddenly blowing in from the northwest. Yes, it's just too windy over here, so let's go to Sydney and hope he's driving in the other direction.
I am still looking for a Hosanna here around Buffalo's Hook Dam, but there are no tracks at all. This is clear that this cat is somewhere lying down, maybe because of the hot weather, or maybe he got something already feeding somewhere in these bushes. But it's getting better now. The sun is not strong anymore. Maybe he's gonna wake up and start showing some activities. If he's still in this area, he's going to depend on this dam here, the Buffalo's Hook Dam. But if he left already, then it means I will find him further down towards the Twins Dam. No tracks at all from Buffalo's Hook Dam. I tried all the road that are coming from the Buffalo's Hook Dam going towards the central, and there is nothing at all. So all the tracks got disappeared where I left him this morning. There are no tracks coming out there. So we are in one of the areas where Hosanna prefers to hunt the most. He nearly caught a decker some time ago while I was here. So now I'm going to head towards the eastern side of the game reserve and do my trekking much more that side, because here I can confirm that the tracks are not here. So now I'm gonna check all the way down alongside the fire break and see if he didn't come up this side. It's not for the leopard. So it's just some tracks from some of the antelopes. Maybe they were avoiding him earlier this morning. So now let's go back to David and see what is happening by the Masai Mara.
Well, I'm sure at one point Hosanna will pop up from what I believe Sydney is good at, and saw him this morning. And that reminds me that Hosanna was my very first ever leopard to see when I went to South Africa. And it was so exciting because if I walk back, he was about 5 meters from the car. Personally, I thought my heart had come up to here and I knew I was done. But he was flat, asleep, eyes closed, and maybe dreaming. Well, that's one big difference between leopard sightings in South Africa and here in Kenya, and more so in the Masai Mara. Not sure to say whether we have no leopards, but it's always very difficult. James, I'm going to give you a very difficult job to do, but do what you can. If you put your extender right there, it could be very difficult for you, but just try, just point up to that bush. Don't worry, let's see what you're going to see. But I got a feeling that's a rhino right there. Just move slightly in the bush there. Yeah, that area there. Let me just see whether I can see it again. Yeah, it's a black rhino right there. It's quite, yes, well done. Well done. I stopped about talking leopards, and let me talk of something that I can see. Thank you, Hosanna, but we got a black rhino. Not sure to the left of it is a calf. Thank you, Lou, and Lou in the final control says awesome because it's quite sporting. I thought it was a dead bush I was passing, and I thought I better first keep my mouth shut for a few seconds and stop talking about the rhino and stop talking about Hosanna. Very unusual. We always say we are very lucky. Oh, two of them. Excellent. Two of them. Not sure there's a male and a female. My guess is because they're fully grown, this could be a male and a female. And black rhinos, we all know, they're browsers, so it's very unusual to see them out in the open as much as we do see them, but that's exactly where they belong. That's their habitat. Always very sensitive to noise, and if you compare the black rhinos to the white rhinos, these ones, the black ones, are a little bit shy, a little bit not sure what word to use, but unlike the white ones that will always be out and moving around and not bothered by vehicles, these ones are rather sensitive. Remember, as I said earlier, should you have any questions, any comments, please send them through #SafariLive. Now, if you place a white rhino right there, apparently it would be most likely the same color. So white rhino, black rhino, it got nothing to do with the colors. The difference between the two species, it's on the mouth. So the black rhinos, we usually say they got triangular shaped like mouth. And when I'm talking about triangular, I'm talking about that, or the shape of a triangle. So the black rhinos. And the white rhinos is more of, is it rectangular, is it square? But the shape of mouth they got. And that's the major difference between the two. When we talk of black rhinos and white rhinos, it's got nothing to do with the color. But we believe way back when some of the Europeans and most likely the Dutch came in South Africa and they saw the two rhinos, they tried to tell them apart by the mouth and not by the colors. They say the colors are basically the same, as much as the black rhinos could be a little dark. And not sure, but in Dutch, anything white, as you go back to rhinos, anything white is W-I-T-E, white. And again, we think some other Europeans could not or were not able to pronounce the word white, and they put a H between W and I, and they said white. So that's how we ended up with white rhinos and black rhinos, but apparently from a distance they got the same color. In general, the whites are a little bigger in size than the black. We think between the Masai Mara and the Serengeti National Park, we have anything between 30 to 50 rhinos between the two conservation areas. Jonathan, again, lots of pleasure to hear your name for the second time. Yes, I would say the numbers of rhinos are going up. We have faced major challenges in terms of poaching the whole of Africa, and my figures could be wrong. Let me talk about Kenya from what I've gathered when I was in college and what I get from the experts. In the 70s and early 80s, we had about, say, 20,000 rhinos. We think today we have less than 1,000 rhinos in the whole country, which is a bit worrying. But the good news is the numbers every year have been going up. Annually, the numbers have been going up. So, Jonathan, very good news. We get lots of funding from you people when you watch us on Safari Live, when you get tourists visiting us. The proceeds or the money, the park fees they pay goes into conservation, and the game rangers do a wonderful job. So we think, I would say, Jonathan, the numbers are going up. Not where we were a couple of years ago, which is very good. Quite a concern why, the poachers will come for them. And I think the big market is always in Asia. And rhinos are one of the big five, which was hunted way before by the hunters. And of course, the poachers came in. But the rhino horn is, what the poachers will want. Then they sell it. Depending on the final users or the end users, we got people who will use it for medication. There have been always a myth that they use for aphrodisiac reasons, but there are certain parts where they use the rhino horn to make some sheath for daggers. And any man that will have a dagger that he puts in a sheath will give him some kind of status. I'm so happy when I see the number of rhinos, the numbers climbing up, which means it's good for all of us. We'll not be here watching this, beautiful big animal, or the guests who come visiting Africa just come and like, where did your rhinos go? It's very quiet animals. In general, you see them solitary, the black rhinos. Max 2, like here, and I would guess maybe a male and a female. I'm not sure what's that dark spot on the back of it, near the bum there, or it's just some kind of mud. I would just guess it's some kind of mud and nothing major. She's moving back slightly. The other one is just laying down there, and my guess this is a male and a female. And when you see them mating, it has been rumored, well, I have seen that they mate for such a long time. Patrick, I was just talking about, the numbers or the frequency or how you see rhinos. The black ones in general, Patrick, will be solitary in general. But now, in this particular case, we got two. And my guess is this is a male and a female. But looking at the white rhinos, you could see even 6 together. Not that you can see 6 together in black, but maybe you could see a male and a female, and maybe a cow with 2 calves, 1 fully grown calf, 1 young calf. So you could also see that. But generally, the black rhinos are very solitary. The rhinos that you see in big groups will be the white rhinos. So I was talking about mating of rhinos and where the myth, because you got people who believe that the rhino horn, it could have some aphrodisiac properties. When you see rhinos mating, they've been known to mate for like 30, 45 minutes non-stop. And unfortunately, people have thought, well, that magic would be on the horn. And I think practically that is nothing but myth. So the other one just stood up. And again, as I said, looking at them closely, they are more or less the same size. So chances are this could be a male and a female. And once they finish mating, they'll go separate ways. Very sensitive. And maybe because the wind is picking up, they had just to rise up. It's always a big day for us when you see rhinos here. We have them, but in this particular part of Kenya, the Mara Triangle, we only have the black rhinos. We've got other parts of the country where we've got white rhinos, but when you see a black rhino, does that have a very short tail? Yes, looking at that one, yeah, the tail is short. Might have been cut while a baby. The one now on the left of your screen has a short tail. It's rather strange. I don't remember seeing a short-tailed rhino. So facing different directions, sometimes like the zebras, you face that way, face this way, just in case anything would come from either side. And all the concern you see in them now is because of how the wind is picking up. You can see all those bushes there, how they're swinging around. Those bushes, we call them orange-leaved crotons. And many animals you'll always tell because their senses, for example, of hearing is not very accurate. So that's a bit of a concern for them. Elena, thank you so very much. It's pretty special. And not one, but two. It's a great day for me. And James, by the way, are you excited by this? James says a big yes. He is very excited. We saw one rhino, I think, 2 days ago from about 100 miles away from where we were. And James was focusing the rhino, and what we ended up seeing was like a teeny dot, like a small little gazelle. But now this is pretty good. Elena, I'm very happy to hear that. And I'm sure all the viewers are excited to see black rhinos. Maybe they might mate, maybe they might not. But my good guess is this is a male and a female. come darkness, chances are they will go in the thickets. That's where they tend to spend most of the time. White rhinos always out in the open. This color, good question. Generally or in general, for the black rhinos, the females are slightly larger than males. That's number one. But the definite difference between them, if you're lucky, you'll have to look between their hind legs and you'll see the mammary or the mammary glands for the female. You may not be able to see the penis for the males unless, of course, they're mating, but that's the only way you can tell the difference. But again, as I said, females are always slightly larger than males, and if you look, or you want to be 100% sure, and you look on the reproductive organs, or rather on the mammary glands between the hind legs, you'll be able to tell the female from the male. If you're lucky to see a female with a young one nesting, you can tell from a distance 100% that is a female. How sweet. You see how they keep turning their ears? It's just to pick up any sound. And rhinos, I would say, eyesight is not very good, but hearing is fantastic, especially the black rhinos. For the game rangers to be able to keep track on them, they have been known sometimes to make notches on the ears, like a cut. The same thing we do for goats and sheep back in the village. We got so many people having goats and sheep, and when you go grazing them, they're very similar to each other. So you'll have one particular family will say, okay, David's family, you'll have one notch on the ears of your goats. James' family, say 2 notches for your goats, and that way should they get mixed up, that's how we look to know whose goats or whose sheep are where. And I'm still hoping for the very best on the search for the leopard with Sydney all the way in South Africa.
It's cool. So I think Hosanna is somewhere right in the middle of the dry riverbed, because I can see the dry riverbed areas, they are looking very cool at the moment. But he's gonna come out. He's not gonna sleep there. He must come out, go to the water hole, and then back to rest. He haven't been to the water hole yet for the afternoon. Just want to check something here. Not too sure if this is a rock or something. I just want to check here on the ground. Oh, it's just a normal rock. When looking at the shape and how it's done and shaped, I thought it was a dung beetle ball, but it is not. This is just a normal one. Maybe this is also confusing the honey badgers, because the honey badgers is the ones who likes to dig and get hold of the balls done by the dung beetles, crack them and eat the larva. To me, this looks like a dung beetle's ball. So I'm just going to carry on now and see if we can find any evidence with regards to Hosanna in this area this afternoon. I was very convinced that that was a dung beetle's ball. So let's carry on and see what we are going to find. So now let's go to James. James has got the hairy animal, the nyala, at the moment.
Yes, I do have a hairy animal, the nyala, at the moment. There it is. Male nyala. Bool. His girlfriends are behind him as the sun begins to slowly cast a slightly less explosively white light on the bush at the moment. It's around about this time of the day that you start to remember why you live out here. Everything goes from being burnt out hot and real just kind of desiccating to much more pleasant. And he's a wonderful fellow. Have you? Don't you think he's wonderful?
Very fluffy.
Very fluffy, says VM, yes. He's found some form of browsing material there. I read something quite interesting the other day. I read an article about the drought, which of course went pretty much from 2014 to 2016, the end of 2016, 2017. And all the browsers did much better during the drought than the grazers. So if you look at the statistics of which animals died off the most, you find that the browsers actually did a much better job of surviving the drought. Now, I suspect that's got to do with the fact that the trees, of course, hold a lot more in the way of reserves in their roots, and so despite the droughts, they were able to still flush their leaves, which would have benefited these browsers, whereas, of course, the grasses don't do that, do they? They don't have any reserves, or they've got limited reserves, they've got shallow roots, and so if it doesn't rain, they just simply go dormant or survive as a seedbed until the rains get better, and that means that the grazers really struggle. And you will be interested to know, on account of the fact that we hardly see them here anymore, the Kruger National Park lost 25% of its buffalo population to that big drought. Isn't that interesting? Liam, did you know that? I think that's pretty incredible. 25%. Guess how many hippo, percentage-wise? 43% of the hippo population of the Kruger died. Isn't that unbelievable? So that's one of the reasons we're not seeing a lot of buffalo around here. They simply have not managed to recover their numbers yet. Ah, a comment from Louise saying that she has read that there's likely to be another El Nino event this year, and of course the El Nino events are the wet ones, so we're likely to have a very wet year here in southern Africa. East Africa certainly has had a very wet year. Huh? No, La Nina is the dry one, isn't it? I thought La Nina was the dry one. I'm wrong, aren't I? I don't remember now. Louise is not helping me. She's letting me cook in the juice of my own forgetfulness. And she's Googling. She's going to check for us. Anyway, I think we're going to have a pretty wet year. Okay, so El Nino is associated with warm water. And does that mean we get more or less rain? I cannot remember for the life of me. Anyway, I think we're going to have a wet season. The only thing that's making me doubt myself, not so much because of El Nino, is that East Africa has had a massive amount of rain, and often, apparently, it's opposite. I've never actually done the statistics on that, though, or looked at any actual statistics, so I'm not sure if it's true or not. Now, we have a bird of prey up ahead here. There it is. Do you see it? Do you know who I think that is, Liam? Let me introduce you, Liam, to he who has ruined the Wahlbergs family. Yes, that's who it is. That is the lover, everybody, of Mrs. Wahlberg. Yes. The home wrecker. Look at him looking ashamed. Just in case there are some of you who don't know what I'm talking about, and why would you? You pay close attention to our Wahlberg's eagles here. They are migratory, and just near the camp there was a pair of pale-form Wahlbergs that came back every year, and they tried to make a baby every year. Some years they were successful, last year they were not. And this year, well, Mr. Wahlberg has either been thrown out of the house, or he's died. Regardless, Mrs. Wahlberg has moved on quite swiftly to this young buck that we're looking at here. I think he's got a rather sour face, really. He doesn't have the warm, open countenance of his predecessor. Of course, Trish, your scenario is equally possible, or equally feasible, and that is, of course, that he did something wrong, and she had a good lawyer, tossed him out the house, and said, "I'll show you, chum," and moved on to this chap. Either scenario, equally likely, I suppose, although I'm not sure how big divorce is in Wahlberg Eagle communities. They are monogamous, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they mate for life. Anyway, I just think it's quite sad. The same two aren't together still. Makes me sad in my heart. Let me quickly look up if they mate for life, because I don't think that they do. Eagly. Well, exactly, Umkar. Mrs. Wahlberg does have the house. That's why I say she obviously had a very good lawyer, because the lawyer belonging to Mr. Wahlberg clearly wasn't very effective. She took everything. She's got the house. She's got a new lover. Let's just quickly look here. Yes, movements and migrations, blah, blah, hunts, farm, breeding. Monogamous, strong mate, fidelity between years. Yes, there's supposed to be strong mate fidelity between years. Solitary nester in highly dense areas. Courtship displays, including call, yeah. So, strong fidelity between years. Well, there wasn't much fidelity between these two, was there? Now, it's all over. Never to be recovered. What about the children? At least there were no children last year. I suppose that made it easier. Let's move on. There's a great green car coming towards us. Duke, how dare you? How dare you say that? You say it looks like Mrs. Wahlberg upgraded. Well, if that thing's an upgrade, I don't know. I think he looks about a quarter the size of Mr. Wahlberg. Aye. Alrighty. On we go. Didn't find any tracks of Hukumuri, I'm afraid. I did find some vehicle tracks crossing into this reserve, but I didn't find any further sign of him. So we'll probably check around the western boundary again as it gets a bit darker. In the meantime, we shall go back towards the waterhole at Wuyatela and see what's coming down for their evening drink. Louise, all I got there was curry and the Niconico should depend upon you one. Ah, right. Well, we're going back to the Marsi Mara now. To a man uniquely capable of saying Marsi Mara. That's why I say Marsi Mara, because that's what David Gatambugutu says. What? We live? Are you sure we live? Ah. Luckily I didn't swear about my earpiece. My earpiece was malfunctioning. And so I had to blow it in. Are we really live? Louise, please confirm that we're live. I'm not sure if I can believe VM or not. Ah, David didn't have any comms. Anyway, here we are. We're here. Look, Viam, burrowing squirrels. Now, let me just quickly inform these animals as to what they really are. You are a tree squirrel. You live in trees. Apparently not. Apparently they are a mongoose-dwelling tree squirrel family. I don't know if that means that they are very wealthy or perhaps very poor. I must confess that if I was a tree squirrel, I would choose to live in a tree, because I would imagine the chances of being devoured inside a termite mound by a snake or some such would be that much higher. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, it's a little pearl-spotty owl there. You see it? Say when, Viam. You got him there. There you go. Pearl-spotted owl, everybody. Oh, look at him. Hello, pearl-spotted owl. I call him a pearl-spotted owl because that was what my very first tracker used to say. He spoke very little English, and of course he didn't know what a pearl was. He didn't really know what a spot was either, and so pearl-spotted owl became pearl-spotted owl. That's a very beautiful pear-spotted owl. And look how well camouflaged he is. Well done, Viam. Right, Sidders seems to have succeeded where everyone else has failed.
I just won the battle now. You can see I have got Hosanna with me at the moment after a very long trekking which took us hours and hours. Now see, Hosanna is right in front of me. It has been an exciting trekking. We have been following the tracks all the way from Buffalo's Hook Dam area coming down to the Twins Dam, which is quite a very long distance. He has been walking almost all day long. You can see that he is still doing some hunting activities. Someone is giving the updates about his presence just yet now. The go-away bird. So the go-away bird just gave a signal such as I am on Twins Dam's road and not very far away from Twins Dam. So it seems like he's heading towards the Twins Dam. We might see something interesting this afternoon because I can see that he is still hunting. And this morning I left him hunting. So maybe now he might be successful. I want to see that action happening today. So I'm just going to reverse now and try and find a better spot so that we can have a better visual. So Senzo, let's reverse now so that we can see Hosanna nicely after such a very long trekking. So me and Senzo, we always agree and disagree when we see treks when we are doing this trekking. So today we were just agreeing. There was no disagreements. So you can see that you can see that he is doing some hunting activities. He's walking very much slow and concentrating right in front. I don't want to lose him. I can see he's going in between those bushes. Sure, thank you very, very much for such a lovely comment. And I'm going to enjoy this sighting. I can see now the sighting is slowly developing. Soon as it's clear, I'm going to celebrate as well. Can you still see him, Senzo, there? I can just see that go away bird trying to chase him, but I can see that he's going towards the water hole. So we're not going to disturb him because we saw there's quite a lot of animals in the area there. He might maybe show us something interesting. I've just lost the visual now, so I'm just gonna pull forward and see if we can see him nicely from the corner there. So he might come out here at any time. So he's right somewhere in the thick bushes, thick guari bushes. And you can see it's still very much green here because these guari bushes are right close to the drainage line. So these areas, they do have a lot of moisture underground. Yeah, there is he. I can see him coming. He's laying down now. It's gonna be difficult for me to see him from this side. Smokey, that is very true. Me and Senzo, including Herbert, we are a very good combination when we're out every time. But with Senzo, there's quite a lot of disagreements. When it comes to trekking, there's a lot of disagreements. So you can see there now, he's right in between the trees. Yeah, he's hiding from here where I am. It's never easy. So I'm just going to try and position myself here and see if we can. I just want to try and give Senzo a better visual. Now we've got Hosanna after a very long walk, relaxed now. Wild. Hosanna is like any other leopard. He's got to grow and become an adult when he's older than 22 months. But for him to challenge the territorial activities, he must have to enter that stage when he's above 4 years. So 4 years and above is when the testosterone is good enough for him to be aggressive against other males in the area. That is when he's going to start establishing and defending his own territory. Because at the moment, if you can check, he does try to mark the territory, but where he's marking, Tingana always comes there and mark on top. You can see that he's very much inquisitive. He is concentrating with both the eyes and ears. Look at that. JC Hosana indeed is very, very much handsome. Look at the necklace there and the pink nose. Lovely spots. So I'm just going to pull further now and try to see if I can give Senzo a better visual. So I'm very much interested to see his intentions for this late afternoon. Not very far away from where he is, I have seen 2 duikers earlier on, which is by the water hole, and that is where he seems heading to. So while I'm waiting to see his actions, let's go to David in the Mara and see how he's doing on the other side. So I will be here waiting to see Hosana's actions.
Very well done, Sydney, for getting my good friend Hosana. Is one leopard we'll never forget. Again, as I said earlier, it was my very first leopard to see in Juma in South Africa. Now, this is the national bird of a country called Uganda. Uganda is a country to the west of Kenya, and it's called the crown crane. Just like the bald eagle, I guess, is the national bird of the United States of America. This is the national bird of Uganda. In Kenya, I think, I could be wrong, the lilac-breasted roller is the national bird, and there's a Thomson gazelle that is trying to sneak in through that beautiful photograph. Look at that Thomson gazelle there, James. Wow. I'm going to keep to the 2 beautiful birds there. In general, going as pairs, a male and a female. And looking at some of those birds that gives us challenges out here in the field, telling males from females. These are classical examples that it's always very difficult for us to tell a male from a female. The red what you see hanging that wall, what is that? Okay, that is called a courting dance. What I do not know, are you feeding the other one there? Who is courting the other? Okay, that's beautiful. How epic is that? My guess is that is the male. I don't know, viewers, what you think. Who should be courting the other? Who should be doing the dance? As I said, I can't tell the male and the female from here or from where they are. But maybe asking you viewers, and maybe we do a poll here, #SafariLive. Who should be doing the dance? Is it the male or the female? Why did you stop now? You did very well when you started. Big birds like ostriches, both males and the females will do the courting dance, but the females are always more captivated or more engaged in the dance than the males. Like most cranes, they will be feeding on any seeds they pick on the way, seeds from the grass. But if they bump into any insects, they'll pick up. Yeah, and Lou in the final control says this is so very cool. Some of the species of birds that I've always seen pairing up together. Very unusual to see one alone. And when you see the chicks, they are very different from their adults. They'll always lay their eggs somewhere near water, and then they make small little twigs for their nests. And not very far from where they are, we have that famous marsh around this area, the Mara Triangle, which most likely that's where they breed. And there's nothing as cool as seeing these two birds doing a full courting dance and when they're mating. Well, I agree. Males should be the ones doing the dancing. I'll also be asking my camera operator here, James. Who, James, do you think should be doing the dancing? The male or the female? Well, James disagrees, and James says the female should be doing the dancing. Look at that wing spread there. Well, I would also say, agree with the viewer who said the male should be doing the dancing. Yes, it's the male that should be doing the dancing to excite the girl. And in the background, you can see a huge herd of buffaloes there. And you notice now we have gone to IR. It's getting a little bit dark here. Inca, you are absolutely right. To get the girl's attention, that is the way things should go. And a bit of dancing. And as the male dances more, we have seen, as again, as I said with the ostriches, the more the girl would think about the male. Earlier, we saw some males that were ganging up against one particular female to drive her to mate with that one particular male we saw. But here, it's very easy. We have one male, one female, and I think they'll have a very good mutual understanding between the two. We need to see you guys dance again. One of you should excite the other. And from a distance, we can hear lots of hadada ibis going, ah, ah, hadada, ah. Not sure you can hear them there. They're coming towards where we are, and they're getting even more loud. Let's see if they can hear them. Excellent. As it gets darker here, things change. There are those animals that get busier than others. And very good to hear that the spotted cat is on the move now.
You can see that the spotted cat is conducting some hunting activities. Look at the tail waving, and if you look at how he's standing and his focus, you will see that he is seeing something. Look at that. I am not seeing yet what he's looking for, but I can see that he is getting very excited. Oh yes, I can see there's a decker there. At a very short distance is a decker. You can see where he is. Let's wait and see. This is interesting. Look at that. He used that opportunity because there's a tree, there's a big tree which is hiding the decker. Maybe he's going to win this battle. Look, the decker is right in front. And this decker is not too sure about what's happening. I can see both at the same time. Senzo, can you see both? The decker is right there. And the leopard is right there. Look, the decker is coming. Oh, the decker managed to see him. and ran away. He just missed that opportunity. That was too close. That was too close, very close. I think he might get another chance because I saw about 3 deckers in this area now. So there he's moving. Maybe when he gets to the waterhole, he might find another decker. He have just missed that opportunity. That was too close. He is still following. So now, that is true. Hosana is being too impatient. He was supposed to wait. That was too close, and that decker was coming. The problem is Hosana was trying to go very fast so that he can get very close, make use of the cover. And unfortunately, that decker then came out because I think the decker picked up the movement. There's another decker. You see there? There's another decker. Can you see that decker? And this decker is also very close to where he is. You can see that the decker is walking. But I can't see Hosana at the moment, but I can see that there is another decker right in the same area. Maybe we're going to see a second attempt. Hosana is somewhere there, looking at a different direction. And then there is some of the animals are giving some of the warning signals. You can see that decker now is picking up the warning from the others. You can see that there's a dependency between these animals. Obviously here, this decker is going to see Hosana. Let's see what is going to happen here. Hosana is just behind that dead tree right in front. Maybe something is going to happen here. So you can see that the decker is not feeding anymore. All the decker is doing now is concentrating on those birds that are giving the warning signals. Let's see now, the decker is moving. And I can't see Hosana very well from where I am. All I've got to do, I think, is to pull forward a little bit so that we can manage to see both at the same time. Can you see them both, Senzo? I can see the decker right there, but the leopard is somewhere behind that bush right in front. And I'm not too sure if that leopard is looking at this direction. Can you see him? Oh yes, he's hiding. He saw the decker now. I saw how he went down very quickly. So he's very sure that there's a decker there. He might be trying to hide because I saw he did manage to pick up that decker. So here we might see something interesting at any time from now. You can see the decker is walking past and Hosana is right there. So now Hosana is going towards another direction and the decker is going towards this direction now. So it's showing that Hosana is not aiming at this decker. They were both very close to each other, but Hosana did not manage to see this decker. Maybe something is exciting him here. Anna-Marie, Hosana just missed another decker again. Things are happening here. He just missed another duiker. There's quite a lot of duikers here where we are. So I can see that he's still focusing again ahead of him. There is something. I can see him right there now. Can you see him there, Senzo? Yeah, let me just try to position myself. I think the duikers are getting very camouflaged. They are confusing Hosanna at the moment. Because where he left, there was a duiker which was less than 10 meters away from him. But he went down to concentrate on the other duiker. He's getting confused. The Hosanna's empty stomach seems to be confusing him today. I can see that he is still looking at something. So what I'm going to do now is to go back to the drainage, because I can see that he is going down towards the drainage line again. So you can see that he is very lovely. He is right in front now, but still doing his hunting activities. You can see that his focus is everywhere. So I just want to see. Yeah, I hope so too. I hope he's going to have something to eat tonight. He is looking very hungry and he's confused now. I can see there's too much duikers in this area where I am now. So I am going to follow him now down to the drainage and see what he's going to aim next. So now, while I'm following Hosanna, let's go back to David, who's got some elephants at the moment. I am still after Hosanna, doing his hunting activities.
Well, good luck again. Hopefully Hosanna going to show up again, and I'm very happy of seeing him. Very well done, good job. We don't have two different species of elephants here, but one must have been swimming in the mud the whole day, or must have been eating in some marsh area and covered by mud, and it looks dark or black in color and not the normal grayish color that we see in the ellis. So the one you see on the right is a bit dark in color. It doesn't imply she's a different species. It's the same savanna, African elephant, and the one to the left, much bigger. And maybe if you look carefully on her legs, you can see also some dark patches of dark mud. And now, if again we have gone to IR, infrared, and what we normally do, we try to avoid invading the space of these beautiful animals. We don't want to shine any light on them, and they may not even notice our presence where we are. Remember, again, as I said earlier, don't be shy to ask us questions or sending us comments. #SafariLive on Twitter. So what will happen as they keep, grazing now and plucking the grass from the ground, they'll be leaving the area that is wet. If you look at that, not almost the ankle, maybe way below the ankle, it's dark, and then going to higher grounds which are much drier. Elephants on their toes have been known to get foot rot. So if they are so long in the water, that will make their nails, get infected and maybe start peeling off. You're trying to imagine an elephant getting some foot rot, or like diseases will get some animals like the sheep, foot and mouth, And you imagine an elephant walking in a particular way because it got some feet that are infected and cannot balance their big bodies. Not sure why they have to keep, flicking the tails. It has cooled off drastically now, and I doubt we would be having any flies bothering them. Just time to munch, ears opened, not flapping a lot because it's cool. All the cooling of the elephant blood or the body temperatures are more or less contained in the ears. Lots of blood vessels in that area, and they have to keep opening them and closing, making sure the blood that is pumped there from the heart is cooled off before it goes to the brain and to the other body organs. Such a peaceful sighting. It's quite a big herd of elephants around here. Very close to what we call the marsh area is when I was working in Juma in South Africa. There's one area I loved going, the Chitwa Dam. You'd never miss an action there. I would compare this marsh area to the Chitwa Dam. There'll always be some kind of activity, be they the animals around there, the mammals coming in to drink, the hippos or ellies, or even the reptiles, the crocs. Or if you could be lucky, you could see some winter lizards swinging by. You can hear elephants pulling off the grass from the ground. Frogs happening or tending to be getting much active now as it gets dark. We're going to be leaving our elephants here and move on and find out what else we could see on our way out. Alrighty. Then, if we got your question right, is what the elephants are grazing at. And this whole area down is full of very nutritious grass, green. And as I said, the area has a marsh and it has water all around there. It never dries up. So it's one area that's always very popular with the ellies. But also the buffaloes will always hang around to come and enjoy the area, because buffaloes are very much water dependent. They can't do without drinking much water, so they'll always be hanging around, eat, and at the same time drink. So I got my lights on now, if you look carefully, and I'll be chancing if I'm lucky to see a scrub hare. Not chameleons like what I used to see in South Africa. If anything I'd be able to see here on the road will be scrub hares. But also, Hosanna loves scrub hares if he is lucky and bumps into them.
Hosanna is still busy trying to do his hunting activities, and now you can see how he's sitting there. You can see that he's focusing on something. I'm not too sure what it is, because every time I got guided by his concentration, I can see he's concentrating on something which is right in front of him and on a distance or very close, not too sure because of the thick bushes. But I'm just going to wait and see how he is going to go down there so that I can be able to see his target. They went up very fast. He is right on top of the hill looking down. You can see how he is listening and how he's moving the head, that he is seeing something. How he uses his spots for camouflage is very interesting. Francis, yeah, he might get a better chance during the night, but I can promise you it's not going to take a full day again or the whole night before he catches something. I can see that he's so very hungry. He wants something to eat. Before the end of tonight, he wants to eat. You will see tomorrow morning, we might find him in these areas up in a tree feeding on something. But at this stage, it seems like he's not selective. Whatever comes forward, he's going to take it. Yesterday, he missed a squirrel. If he was trying a squirrel with such a diminutive size, you can see that anything which tries to come past here, he's going to take it. And now he is hunting freely because the hyenas, they left him alone. He is not disturbed by anything at the moment. It's not like this morning where the 3 hyenas were after him when he was doing his activities. Look at that. So you can see that he's walking in a very clever way. He doesn't want to make any noise. So I can see his focus is down at the drainage. He is looking at something at the bottom. I can't see it from where I am. So I'm just going to read his thinking and then consolidate my spot where I can see him nicely. I don't want to interfere at all. I just want to get guided by his actions. Okay. So I can see that he's focusing somewhere down there at the drainage at the moment. You can see now the head is up and moving very quickly. So now let's go back to James, who is looking at the moon. Where is the moon? Oh, he's looking at the moon right there. So let's go back to James and see what he's saying about the moon.
Well, we're sitting here with the moon, but not specifically because the moon is particularly spectacular this evening. I mean, it's pretty, but it's not that spectacular. The sky is even more spectacular. But we did hear Tingana sawing. Well, I'm assuming it was Tingana somewhere around here. And I was hoping desperately that he'd begin to saw again. But he hasn't. So let's carry on. I'm assuming that he's heading towards water, which is what he normally does at this time of the day, towards the Gallego Pan at the end of a hot day, so maybe we'll be lucky and we'll pick him up there. Spots light is out, as you can see. I'm spots lighting everything. Unfortunately, the headlights on Rusty ceased to function. This is not surprising. Little bits and pieces cease to function all the time, and then they get fixed. Not by me, otherwise they would cease to function and never function again. So we're going to just drive towards the Gallego Pan and then sit and have a listen there for a while. More often than not, that's where he's fetched up as it's got dark. Didn't find any sign of hukumuri, I'm afraid. Oh, there's a nyala looking a bit chilled to the max. Sounded like he was quite far from where we are now, but I'm just guessing that this is where he's heading. And he only called once, which is very inconsiderate of him because he has been calling relatively frequently of late. What we don't want to do is miss him at the pan. Anyway, at least Horsana is around and hunting. to question his hunting skills at the moment. I think he's lost his confidence. Let me see, it's an interesting one. I don't know if he's interacted with Hukumuri. It's certainly possible. You know, we've seen Tamba and Anderson have interacted with each other, where Tamba has behaved apparently in a submissive fashion, but nobody, of course, knows what happened to Anderson's eye. The Anderson male, for those of you who don't know, dominant male of the southwest, used to sort of almost come this way, but has moved further down towards the south. And you know, they had an interaction, and it didn't seem to be particularly aggressive from Anderson's point of view. So perhaps Hosana and Hukumuri have met up. Certainly wouldn't surprise me if Hosana had seen or smelt another male leopard and gone looking for him to make friends. That's what he's like. But I don't know. Nobody has seen it. Certainly I haven't heard any reports of it. So we're going to go to the waterhole, and then we're going to turn off and we're going to listen again. Now, the three people who are on this car all have earpieces stuck in their ears, which means that it's amazingly easy to mishear the direction that something comes from. And I didn't really trust myself. Kenny thought it came from further south of here. We tried that, we didn't come right, but it could easily have been further south of where we are now. He's not here having a drink. So let's just turn around and have a listen. Come on, Tingana. He's calling, but he is miles away. That's on the northern boundary. Unless it's another leopard. Maybe it's Skijima, says Viam. Let's just give it another few seconds, because if that was another male leopard, Tingana will almost certainly reply. Nothing now. That was a long, long way north. That was nowhere near where I thought he called from. Of course, you will not hear his voice above the sound of the engine. So let's enjoy this Daika. Let's see if he doesn't call again. The Daika doesn't think we can see him, of course, her, because it's dark. We are in infrared, if you're wondering, you haven't just gone colorblind. Good size snack for Tingana or Hosana. Hosana not having a great deal of hunting luck at the moment, or certainly not in front of us. Well, considering it, Hosana killed his first fully grown adult male impala, it may have been a female, anyway, still a very big animal, when he was just over a year old. I find the lack of success he's having at the moment quite indicative of how difficult it is for them to catch sufficient to eat. It's not... Right. Okay, he's in... I've heard him call again. He's in that block, which is almost impossible to get a car into. I think he's coming this way. What we're going to do is speed around to the old hyena den and see if we can't hear him there. There's an old hyena den directly sort of on the line of where he's calling. Alyssa, I'm not sure that Tingana is calling more often. I'm wondering if he isn't just calling more in sort of audio range of us, and that's because his territory, it really is not very big at the moment. He does not been going down very far south, not been going down very far west. He has been going relatively far east, I suppose. But I suppose he's feeling pressure. My only guess is that he can be feeling pressure, or that he's, you know, that he isn't calling more often and he's just closer to us, and that's why we're hearing him more. Anyway, we'll pop around onto Mvubu Road Let's see if we can't find him. Ooh, a couple of bumps. A little bit of time left to get him. I hope we can. Whoa, sorry everybody, hold on tight. Liam's used to this, of course. Kenny is not so much. It's a lovely warm evening. That cold front has finally gone away, which we'll probably regret come the weekend, when apparently it's going to be 39 degrees out here, which is, well, no short of 102 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pretty warm, I think. Now it's possible he's had his drink and he's heading north, or that he is calling and on his way to the drink. Louise says she enjoys warm evenings like this. Yes, we all enjoy the evenings. It's the days that precede them that are a little tough. Ah, David Gathamba Githu has managed to find himself, well, rabbits. Oh, in 10 seconds. He's got them in 10 seconds. I forgot, of course, that he has them in the Masai Mara, which means that he's 10 seconds away from here.
Well, Tingana should be seen today before we finish the show, because I think he is the loveliest leopard in Juma, big in size. The one characteristic I remember about Tingana is his huge dewlap. And I don't think in the very near future any leopard is going to compete, or any male leopard, even Hosanna, is going to compete with Tingana in terms of that massive leopard. A bit quiet now for me, not much is happening, but I'm chancing on the way I may see either nightjars or scrub hares. But also once in a while we have seen hyenas coming on the road, you know, just coming to warm up and coming out of the grass. So scrub hares is my best bet. That is a jackal there. Two of them. I don't know whether James can see that. James, do you see those jackals there? Just try and see what you can get them. It's quite unusual to see jackals at this point, but there are two of them there. Very good. Run, run, run for your life. I don't know when you're running, but we have seen you either way. And that's what called back to jackal. Always going in twos, always very monogamous. Very lucky. We've seen some very unusual animals we normally don't see. And just like hyenas now, knowing they could be having animals that, or the predators could be going hunting, they might come out. Buffaloes, we might see them crossing the road if we are lucky, as it has gotten completely dark here. Could be hippos also when they come out of the water. And I'm seeing some buffaloes here. Not sure. Let me just switch off my light and see how close these buffaloes will be on the left here, James. I've switched off my light. Let's see if they go away. Oh, they're gonna come up. My apologies, James. It's just stopped suddenly there. But if you go to the left, look at them. Good evening, buffaloes. And you notice now we are completely in infrared. They have an idea vaguely of where we are, but they can't see us, which is the best thing to do. Of course, they have a bit of light, which James is trying to put off on my face because I'm too dark. I may not show up. I might also appear dark like the buffaloes here, but I'm sure my eyes will look better. These are the Cape buffaloes. There's a youngster in between those two there. There's a calf. And they'll just pause and try to imagine where we are, what we are up to. Again, just as I saw the elephants flicking the tails, I also wonder why these big animals are flicking the tails. The difference between those elephants we saw earlier and these buffaloes here. These ones are chewing cud, baying ruminants. TNG, very happy to know you're still on board watching. Thank you so very much. Yes, but look at those eyes. I mean, to me, they look very colorful. You're seeing a whole huge body there and just seeing two eyes like two light bulbs. TNG, thank you for still being there with us. And that's a great comment coming from you. So we'll see little moths flying on the screen. And I think Sydney is doing very well. He got a different type of a spotted predator.
I have got the 3 hyenas that has been giving Hosanna some challenges this morning while he was doing some hunting activities. They are back again. They have been tracking down Hosanna as well, like I did. So now they are right in the same area as Hosanna. It's just that now Hosanna is somewhere deep in the thick bushes. I'm still going to look for him again. So these hyenas are on a mission after Hosanna. These are the beneficiaries. Look now, the hyenas, they are now performing their greeting ceremonies. This is one of the very fascinating greeting ceremonies. Oh. I'm not too sure if the other one hardly greeted the family member. Yes, I just saw him running. Maybe it was not too smooth to greet the family member. So now, I am just going to move on and see if we can find Hosanna again, because I don't want to lose him. These hyenas, they are around here looking for him as well. Yeah, these hyenas, when looking at the stomachs, they're looking big. Not too sure if the stomachs are looking big because they are just by Twins Dam. Maybe they have been here for drinking purposes, or else they are full. They are not as hungry as Hosanna. So now let's go back to James, who is searching for Tingana at the moment, and see if there is any luck yet.
We have not had any luck. What is that? What on earth? That looks like a leopard to me. Them. Don't say I'll never find you leopards, see? In fact, it's 2 leopards. Is it 1 or 2? The one that's calling is just up ahead here. I think this is... I don't know what's going on here, everybody. I really have got no idea. Let's try and get off-road a little bit. This looks like a female. I don't think this is who's calling. Not that females don't call. There she is. That must be Tundi. Can you see her there, Vim? Straight over the top of this bush. To the right there. That's it. Just keep the camera there. We'll get her now. There, we got her. Right, so, who is that? It does. It's not, yeah, no, it's a 3. That's a 3. It can't be Tlalamba. She's relaxed, everyone, so I'm going to try and get closer. Must be Tundi. It must be the Queen. Oh man, first gear, you idiot. I'm talking to myself there. How's that, Room? Could you look this way? Yes? Show us your ears. Oh, that other leopard is calling quite close to here. Well, there it is. My guess is Tundi here, and some of you will definitely be able to recognize it from this picture. I find it a little difficult. Definitely 3 spots on this side, which is correct. I suppose if there is a doubt in my mind, she looked a bit younger, but you know, in this light, in these bushes. I suppose I'd better call it in, but nobody's going to be able to get in here. Does anyone disagree that this is Tundi, other than Wiem? Wiem? Do you think this is Tundi?
No idea. Hard to say black and white.
It's been a long time. Oh, look at the ears, look pretty intact. I'm not convinced. Yes, and the nose is pink as well. Right, so we have a mystery. James Richard has confirmed Tundi, so I'm going to stick with my original thought. Oh, there's Tlalamba. There we are. I thought there were 2. Ha 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 ha. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. She was not impressed at that, was she? Phew. One should always go with one's first instinct, of course. Now, Wiem, when was the last time you saw little Tlalamba?
When she only had 1 spot.
When she had 1 spot, you mean when she was a spot? When did you go to the Mara?
In May.
In May. So you haven't seen her since May. She got big, eh? Or her mother's shrunk, one of the 2. Hooray, what a relief. We didn't know where she was, we haven't seen her for a long time. I got the impression that Tundi was quite scandalised that we'd spotted her. Now there you can see the chips in her ear now. In her right ear you can see she's got those rips. And many of you over the moon that we've managed to find Tundi and Tlalamba, as are we, and I'm sorry about that stick. I don't think there's anything I can do about it. I will just, let me put a light on and see if I can't move a little bit. What do you think? Going to be a waste of time, hey? To try and move from here. I think we're just going to have to deal with this view, everybody. There, that's a nice view. Look how happy they are to see each other. Oh, what a stroke of luck that was. I wonder if it was her calling. Could have been. Would explain why, since we've been here, we haven't heard any calling. Now, I suspect they've been on a kill here. Thank you, James. You say that 2 leopards is just a perfect way to finish a drive. Well, I must agree with you. Especially after you've been driving around in the blinding heat all day. They must have had a kill here. That's why we haven't seen their tracks anywhere. And in fact, the only time we see them this kind of affectionate is when there's meat around. So this will be a good place to start tomorrow morning. Oh, fantastic. All right, Sidders has got a spotted hyena at the moment, not a spotted cat. So let's go and say hello to that thing.
Oh, look at this hyena. Can you please go to flare? This is lovely. Look at that. You can see with all his paws now. So these hyenas are after Hosanna. So Hosanna just got disappeared somewhere in this area. So I'm not too sure where exactly, because him and these three hyenas, they are avoiding each other. Hosanna, he doesn't feel comfortable with the presence of these three hyenas. So I'm just going to keep following and see. Maybe they're going to lead me to where he is. Yeah, I'm sure the way Hosanna looks hungry, I can see that if he catch something, he doesn't have any other alternative option apart from hiding it up on the tree. Because if you can check now, with these three hyenas, if he catch something on the ground, he's not going to eat it at all. They will manage to take it away from him. So now I'm just going to carry on forward and see if we are going to meet Hosanna again or any other interesting animal just before we close down. And these hyenas are very much quiet, not making any noise. All they're doing is keep following Hosanna. Because these hyenas, the last sighting we saw them, it was where we saw Hosanna this morning. So it means them and Hosanna probably walked more or less the same kind of a distance, because they were at the same spot this morning. So now I'm going back to the Mulwati dry riverbed, but what I'm looking here for the other animals, let's go back to James, who is lucky with one of the spotted cats, Tandy and Kalamba.
She's just moving around here. I won't tell exactly where she's going. We've turned the lights off, of course, just to give them some peace and quiet. Walking past the front of us now. As VM says, they don't look very full. She is walking towards the road. I think there's a bit of a game path that goes towards the road, so we might pick him up there. Let's just see if Kalamba follows, or does her sort of usual thing. She may well just wait there to see if Mum finds something to eat. And this is how they get separated, of course, and then we have to go through the anguish of seeing if they find each other again. Alrighty, let's go back. We're going to put some lights on now, otherwise we won't see anything. We're right back there. What a stroke of luck that was. Oh, I see there was a small ziziphus bush in the way there, Wiem. Let's have to go over it. It was dead. Don't worry, everybody. Wiem, I haven't heard you congratulate me yet. There's the cat. I've just done it again, Wiem. I've got a spotlight. Yes, I have. She's going into the thick stuff there. Oh, she's going down into the drainage. Let's just have a quick look down there. I don't think we're going to get another view. We'll never get a vehicle down that way. Hold on tight, watch your heads. No thorns. Ow. 1 minute left. Will we get another view? Oh, there we go. There she is. You got her, Vim. that's going to be it. I'm not going to try and follow her through there. Thank you very much for joining us on our sunset safari. It was good fun. We'll start the sunrise safari here sometime tomorrow. Well, not sometime tomorrow, probably around 5:30. Until then, thank you very much for your questions and your comments. We will see you, of course, tomorrow at 05:30. Until then, bye-bye.